This episode of Disgraceland is brought to you by Amazon Music HD, a music streaming service with over 50 million songs in high definition and millions in ultra high definition. When you stream on Amazon Music HD, you get more than double the bitrate of standard streaming services. So you can actually hear all the music the way that it was recorded, the way the artist intended for you to hear it. Maybe even while thinking about some of the stories we told you that the artist didn't intend for you to hear. So start listening now with a free 30-day trial of Amazon Music HD by going to Amazon.com and searching for Amazon Music HD. Renews automatically. Terms apply.
What's going on, everybody? Happy Thanksgiving. Hopefully you had a good day. I may or may not be recording this a day before Thanksgiving. I'm in the beautiful place they like to call Maui. I can see the water. Well, actually, I kind of got to go outside and stand on some furniture. But I'm not. I'm about 5 minutes away from the water. So this podcast will not include the Thursday's games. Not a great slate, but anytime the Cowboys play, it's a big deal. But, you know, it's Turkey Day, and I was going to be busy and probably a little intoxicated, so there's no way I could do it. So I wanted to bang this out, before I get a little golf in at a nice little place called Wailea. It's vacation / work, but I had to do the podcast, and there's some things I want to talk about. I'll dive into off the top. I was thinking about this morning what this season in the NFL has kind of encapsulated. It's been the ultimate marriage of players and coaches. And it's what makes football so great. Unlike baseball, which is now run by general managers, unlike basketball that is run by players, football is really a coaching league. Now, obviously, good players play a huge role, but it's really the combination of the two. And the other two sports just don't have it. And then I'll go through all the games, and I'll answer a couple of your guys' Middlekauff mailbag questions at John Middlekauff on my Instagram. You slide right into those DMs. They're always wide open for you guys to come and holler at me, ask questions, same as my Twitter handle. It's just my name, at John Middlekauff. But I want to start with this. And, in every business, there are certain things that are very important to make it successful, right? I'm sitting in this condo. They're charging us a boatload. And if you go down about, 2 football fields to where the water is, the price point of where I'm sitting and the price point of that condo, even though it's in the same complex, goes up about 4x. Because what do they always tell you in real estate? Location, location, location. I mean, I had the condo that I bought in the Bay Area, I paid $50,000 over asking price. And that was just to get in the Final Four to buy it. Now, in that condo, in 3 years, it hasn't gone up at the same rate that it was going when I bought it. But, I've made 6 figures in a short period of time, and I'm no real estate maven. But location's key, right? And, I would imagine a lot of people that listen to this, are in sales. Now, you can read different things, and you guys know, you could argue, is it more important to have a great salesperson? Is it more important to have a great product? I think it's probably a combination of the both, right? The better the product is, the easier it is to sell. It's probably easier to sell a Nike shoe than it is some random shoe. Now, in my business, I talk for a living. Is it more important to be good, right? To have, interesting takes? What separated Colin over the last 15 years? For me, he was by far the most intelligent guy on the radio. It's why everywhere I go, I meet people that are young, that are 20 years old. I was at a wedding and met this dude that was 20 years old at USC. It's God, I love Coward. And you'll meet a guy 60. I love Coward. You know what they all tend to have in common? All tend to be pretty smart people. Colin resonates with intelligent, successful people. And that's what separated him. Now, obviously, he knows sports and he's well-spoken. He's a great broadcaster. But he's unique, and I think in this business it's harder and harder to find unique people. It's why Colin's kind of ran circles around everyone the last 10, 15 years in this business, because it's God, the same regurgitated takes. Spare me, I can't take it. But when it comes to football, and I talked about it in baseball. Listen, I live in an area where Billy Beane, the front office, runs a team, and they do a great job. They make the playoffs every year with the payroll that's low. And then I got the Giants, who forever were a coaching-driven thing with Bruce Bochy. And now with Farhan, who's from the Dodgers, from the A's, the general manager is going to run the show. Saw the Warriors. I love Steve Kerr. Super smart guy, great basketball life. They won big because they had elite players. Bottom line, period, point blank, end of story. I mean, they had better players than everybody. Now, when he first got here, he implemented a system and it helped get them over the top. He didn't have zero role, but they won because of Curry, Clay, Draymond, and then they added Kevin Durant. Where in football, I think a lot of times, like, there's a reason it's called the Lombardi Trophy. We talk about Belichick and Parcells and Walsh in the same reverence and on the same level in which we do Lawrence Taylor, Joe Montana. Like, you can't say Joe Montana without saying Bill Walsh. You can't say Lawrence Taylor without saying Bill Parcells. Like, you can't say Tom Brady without saying Belichick. It's what makes football so great. Coaching is really important. It's why coaches, in what football ultimately is a big television show. It's one huge reality show. And the players are a huge part of it. But so are the coaches. The coaches play a massive role. They are really famous. Someone that talks about football for a living, it's not just like I don't only have the players to talk about. I can just do topics on coaches. And people will care. People will have opinions. I'm talking the good coaches or the bad coaches. They are very, very, they're polarizing figures. Unless you're just elite at your job like Belichick. Everyone else we nitpick. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season. We crush him. John Harbaugh lost for a couple years. Like, oh, he's lost his touch. And I think just thinking about this season, it's kind of the indictment of why coaches are so important. It's why, relative to the business, some of these franchises now are worth $3-4 billion. If you're paying a head coach, which is the most important employee you have. Now, the owner's not an employee, but obviously he's the most important person because he can meddle, he can tell you no, he can hire and fire. But the second most important person, probably even above the quarterback, is the head coach. And, relative to, other industries, they should probably be making $25-30 million a year. They should be making the good ones. Belichick's worth $50 million a year. Easy. What he's made the crafts for getting home playoff games for 20 years. Easy. And maybe he does. I mean, no one really knows how much Belichick makes. I'd guess like $15 million, but that's still underpaid. What Andy Reid's done to the Kansas City Chiefs, they were a joke in the late 2000s under Pioli. Now they go to the playoffs every year, win divisions, host playoff games. We're in the AFC Championship last year for the first time in what? Forever? In 25 years? What Harbaugh's done to the Ravens. This year has been a muscle flex for, let's look at the Saints. Drew Brees hurts his finger this year. And it's like, first thing I thought, it's like, you see Teddy come into that game against the Rams, you're like, they're screwed. Do you know what it turns out? They weren't screwed. They didn't lose a game under Teddy Bridgewater. Win. Sean Payton, worth his weight in gold. The 49ers, it's like they fire everyone, the training staff, the doctors, the wait staff. It's like, we got to get over these injuries. Well, what happened this year? Same old injuries. And what happened? Kyle Shanahan, tired of making excuses. Left tackle out, right tackle out, fullback out, tight end out, corner out, middle linebacker out, pass rusher out. No big deal. We'll scheme them. We'll figure it out. Everyone's calling me the best young coach in the league. I'm going to show everybody. Seattle. I say it all the time about the Seahawks. And I have, beside the Patriots, there's probably not an operation I respect more than what Pete Carroll and John Schneider have done. And when you look at this team this year, where's the talent? I mean, they got 4 or 5 good players, but their roster is nowhere near what it once was in the 2012, 2013, 2014. And what are they going to do? Win 12, 13 games? No big deal. Pete Carroll, culture, just coach them up. Philosophy, something the analytic guys hate. Stop running the ball, Pete. Throw the ball. Pete's like, bro, we're 9-2. Shut up. Sit down. Stop yelling at me. Baltimore. Listen, I can't. I'm still kind of shocked how good Lamar Jackson is. I never in a million years would have thought this. Now, maybe the game's changed. Maybe I need to reevaluate the way I look at things. But what did John Harbaugh do? He said, well, my brother also had a unique quarterback when Alex Smith went down and he implemented him, and they revolutionized the way that they ran an offense. Why don't we do the same thing? Why don't we hire the same guy? So what does he do? Goes and hires Greg Roman. And what have they done? Taken the league by storm. You know what it turns out? John Harbaugh knows what he's doing. And the Patriots this year, they haven't had any wide receivers. Their running backs kind of suck. Gronk retires. Belichick's like, no big deal. We'll just have the best secondary in the league. Me and my son will call the defense. Okay, Flores, Patricia, you guys are all going to leave. We'll be better without you. Special teams, we'll step it up a notch. We'll block punts. We'll take it to. We'll do things that Jason Garrett's like, what is going on right here? Yeah, Jason, we just don't have a punt returner. We're going to block your punt. You know it's coming. I know it's coming, and we're still going to block this bad boy. So get ready, because you ain't beating us here in Foxborough. I'll promise you that. This year has been the ultimate just muscle flex for coaching. All the top teams, the best coaches in the league. It's been fun to watch because sometimes, and obviously the players are really important. Lamar Jackson, special player. They got studs on that team. Mark Ingram, stud. Stephon Gilmore is one of the highest paid corners in the league. It's not like you need good players, but it's like if I had Kevin Durant, Steph Curry, and Klay Thompson, and I had my mom coaching the Warriors, they'd still be hard-pressed to not make the finals, as long as she had a decent, assistant staff. They would win. That's not the case in football. If you put Jason Garrett on the Patriots, I don't care if they still have Tom Brady. They're not winning 13 games. Now, maybe they still win 10 because their division sucks, but no way. You put Jason Garrett. Look at the Bills. How are the Bills doing this? You know why? Because Sean McDermott is an elite defensive coach. They're going to win 10, 11 games. Their offense has sucked. If I put Pat Shurmur on the Bills, you think they're making the playoffs? If I gave Mike Tomlin, how have the Steelers won games? With Duck Hodges and Mason Rudolph throwing pick after pick after pick. And losing Roethlisberger the first game of the season to Tommy John surgery. And when the dust settles, worst case scenario, you know what the Steelers are going to be? Probably 8-8. Worst case, I bet they're still 9-7. It's like coaching, it has never mattered more in the NFL. Despite the rules being weird, you're not allowed to hit anybody. Like the good coaches, the cream is rising in this league unlike ever before because there are probably, the depth of coaching has probably never been better. Like think about just the top 10 coaches in this league right now. Obviously you have the greatest coach ever, but then you can just rattle off the next 5 or 6 guys are so accomplished. Like Andy Reid has 200 plus wins. Harbaugh, Sean Payton, these guys are 100-win coaches with Super Bowls. Pete Carroll. You're talking about borderline Hall of Famers, all these guys. And then you got some of the young guys like Kyle Shanahan, who's a stud. I'm missing, and you got older guys like Mike Zimmer. Look at Mike Zimmer, what he's done in Minnesota since he's been there. So clearly players matter, and I'm not trying to diminish their importance to this league because you're not. Like, you might be able to overachieve in football, unlike the other sports with average players, but your ceiling's capped. I think unlike any time I ever remember, and part of this is maybe the Patriots are a little bit down, but there are probably 8 teams that could win the Super Bowl. And what do they all have in common? They got great coaches. I got any truck enthusiasts out there? Because if I do, I got some good news for you. Ram trucks have been awarded Motor Trend's back-to-back Truck of the Year. This is just one great truck. I actually got some personal experience with this. My little brother, who's a farmer, who also works in construction as well, has been driving a Ram truck for over a year now. And every time I get in this thing, I'm just blown away. The styling, the power, the performance, the luxury. We're talking about a truck, and I'm not even done. The entertainment system, the leather, the storage, the space. I'm telling you, this thing will blow you away. Here's the thing. It's got a 12-inch touchscreen. No, really, it does. That's a fact. 12-inch touchscreen. These things are they're awesome. And you should see the quality. The Ram trucks are beautiful on the inside. They're built for every road. You can't hurt them. They drive really smoothly. They got the power. They got it all. That's why they're getting rave reviews from the drivers who know them best. I'm telling you, I've been in this thing a bunch of times. And every time I get in, you got the touchscreen, you got the size of it, the room, the luxury, and then the power. It has it all. And here's the key. Because when you lead from within, you redefine what a truck can be, and that's what Ram has done. They're built to serve. Ram is a registered trademark of FCA US LLC. Okay, let's go game by game on Sunday. You guys can hold me to this. I'll guess the games on Turkey Day. I'll go Cowboys over the Bills, must win. If the Cowboys lose, Jerry, I can see Jerry firing everybody. I'm going to take the Bears. Under no circumstances can I see Jeff Driscoll winning a game on Thanksgiving. It's kind of crazy because you're going to be listening to this after it already happened. And then I will take the is it Saints Falcons? God, you're giving us an NFC South game